chat room. Thank you for coming and being part of it as we do it live. And however you're getting this later, we love you as well. All right, here goes. We begin. Oops. Okay, there it is. We begin in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to There Will Be Dungeons for the weekend of January 19th, 2020. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz, John Jagger, Kristen Ashton, and Kyle Ferguson. And we're back at it for yet another effort to bring you the further adventures of the heroes of the Waste as they are trapped in a place where they do not want to be without two people that they loved. One of us doesn't even have arms yet. Join us now as we dive back in. Before we get too far, though, we like to give a recap of the final or the previous episode, and we do that with the lovely voice of Kristen Ashton. Kristen, take it away.
Last time on There Will Be Dungeons, the trial of the tricks triggered. But for the phrase, the team had to be taken to the tussle. They climbed into a carriage that carted them to the Coliseum of Conflict. They then were whisked into a waiting with where witticisms were wafted. The first fight found Varel victorious, but not without benefit from the booze-brewed beverage. It gave him glaring glimpses into the gumptions of the glorified grumps. Back in the break room, Varel was vexed by the terror teen Kanja, who toppled teams 10 years to date. Kanja, nettled that a noob had nimbly netted a nifty knack, pursued it to peek at P. Kid Agree came in costume, leaking for the lizard, and surprisingly, Varel's following foe was fixed. Tossed from the tourney, Varel had only Kanja to control. A flash as the battle began, and Varel could clue into the cacophony of cantankerous conclusions careening through Kanja's cranium. Even so, the match was merciless. Varel eventually took the triumphant trick. Defeat determined, he now publicly panned the pubescent player with a device that divulged the desecration under the dermis. Kanja was merely a machine managed by many men. Once more, the soggy feather was booming as battle buddies banqueted in boisterous bemusement, past fights forgiven and forgotten. Successfully true tricksters, the only onus was to obtain the operation that would open the optics of their oft allies. Now rejoin our heroes as they rush to revivify Stanley and Hope. Was Kanja's crushing enough to earn a tribute from the trickster god? Can they cope if it can't? And just what next will Nash vegetate from his valves? Stay tuned for today's adventures through the wide world of the streets of Sigil.
All right, well done as always, Bo. Take it away.
That was great, Crystal.
Thank you.
All right, we return to our adventure. The party has just left the Soggy Feather, following Squirts and Chunks with their destination of her hidden chapel in mind to go and speak with Kid Agree about returning Stanley and Hope to life. Squirts leads you down one street, then another, in a seemingly random fashion for a solid 30 minutes. Going in no direction she had previously gone to take you to this place. Squirts, you eventually move to an intersection and look to the left and see the familiar walkway up to the strange, bizarre building at the end of the alley. You see it.
Yes, come, we go, we see if trick good enough.
All right, Squirts makes her way down the alleyway. The rest of the party, do you follow?
Yeah.
All right, so you follow Squirts down the strange alleyway, looking familiar, but looking as though it's been transplanted to some other part of town that you haven't previously been to. You're still in the same ward. You move down the alley to the end of the road and see that the building itself appears to be sunken into the ground, so it doesn't stand tall. It stands kind of flat, but also into the earth. There's a large set of stone doors. And Squirts, as you approach up to the doors, they're unmoving and they're blank. There's no etchings, no sculpture on the doors. Otherwise unremarkable.
Squirts will make her fart.
Okay, you make the fart noise, and the door opens up ever so slightly. And the way is open.
Squirts will walk through.
Okay. Does the rest of the party follow inside?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So you follow Squirts into the building, and as everyone makes their way in, the door creaks behind you, stone against stone. The sound of as it closes behind you. You make your way into the familiar chapel area, which has pews running along either side with pillars leading up to a pulpit. There appears to be a man in a robe sitting amongst the pews.
We've come. We did trick. Now we trick death.
And the man sort of goes, "Whoa!" as he's maybe scared out of slumber as you say trick. And he gets up, looks around, looks back, looks around, and looks. And he goes, "Squirts, you're back.
Yes.
You
We did.
scared me.
Oh, haha. You like?
That was a good trick, little one." He takes out his hand and he pats. And you know this person as Carr. Another one of the priests, Priest Carr. "I have a good trick." And he looks up to one of the other party members and he goes, "Would anyone like to see my trick? I've been working on it."
Sure, what the hell, says Nash.
All right. And then he takes out his hand and points out a finger and he goes, "Pull my finger."
I know this trick. But I'll do it anyway. I'll reach out and pull his finger.
What trick? You pull his finger?
Yeah, I'll pull it.
All right. You pull his finger, and a large fart noise comes out from the back. And goes, but as he does it, his ears explode in fireworks. Just these little fireworks. And he goes, "You didn't expect fireworks, did you?"
I can't say as I did.
Perhaps I need more work on it, Squirts.
No, good trick. Great trick. He's just not funny.
He's
Very serious.
He scratches his chin, in deep in thought. Just stands there before you, thinking about his trick.
Is there someone of authority here?
No.
Good trick?
What do you seek from the Chapel of Laughter?
The Chapel of Laughter.
I have performed a great trick, and I have come for my friends.
Ah, you are the Kiddigrees. Emissaries.
That is
of
I.
creation. Come, follow me, follow. Kiddigree is hard at work, Squirts.
Oh, that's funny. That's even better trick.
Oh, well, that was just a bit of information. Wasn't really meant to be a trick. But thank you. And then he walks down towards the back of where the pulpit is, and beckons for you to follow. Squirts, of course, follows. The rest of the party cautiously following behind. He opens up a large wooden door, and everyone follows into this hallway. And at the end of the hallway, there's a stairwell. And he takes a torch that's unlit from the wall, and he lights up the torch, and he says, "This way." And he begins descending the stairwell, and you can see his light sort of shining as he descends the stairs. Does everyone still follow?
Yes.
Yes.
He makes his way down. You begin descending the stairs, and as you descend the stairs, you notice little rats that are on the steps, and they scurry away into holes in the brick wall as you make your way down deeply. Takes a good. Your estimation on the amount of time descending is about 3 floors. Somehow you're now deep below what you would consider to be the surface. The air becomes dank and musty. Where the stairs end, you see a large hallway with an arch over top leading to another large hallway, and you can proceed down in this manner until you get to a T-junction. And Carr turns around, looks, and points his torch to the left and says, "This way." And then he walks down to the left. And you make your way down past several chambers of closed doors till you get to the room on the end. And he stops before the door, waiting for everyone to catch up. Then he looks at everyone and he says, "This chamber is a sacred chamber in our chapel. Please don't touch anything. And please be respectful that you're only here to consult with the great priest. Now, if you will." And then he turns around and he opens the door for you to enter in.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Let's go. Let's follow escorts.
He stays by the door while he beckons you all inside. Does everyone enter in?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Follow
Nods
us
all
first.
around.
Yep.
Everyone makes their way inside the room, and Carr steps in and then closes the door behind. But then he douses the torchlight. Now, as you make your way in, you see that you're in a large chamber, and that on the wall that you entered in, it's flat, but on the other side, there's this sort of curved C. If you were to look at the room from the top, it's like this. There's this curve to the room, and then there are these steps that start from the bottom and go to the top. And along each, if you think of like an auditorium, like a half an auditorium, like a Colosseum style, looks like these steps like this in the room. All along each of the steps are different makes and shapes of mirrors. There are, they have different frames, they have different sizes, and there are mirrors. The mirrors up top are sort of pointed so that they lean down a little bit so that they can viewed from the floor in the center. And in the floor in the center is a chair and a table. And sitting at the chair is a robed person whose back's to you so you can't see him or her. And on the table are hundreds of little vials. And in the mirror, you can see the reflection of the location of where this being sits. But in each of the mirrors, you see under the robe a different thing. In one mirror, you see an orc man, and on another mirror, you see just a cat sitting at the chair. And under another mirror, you see that there's an elf sitting in the robes. And in another mirror, you see an alligator man like Ventro. And in another mirror, you see that there is a rich aristocrat human sitting in there. And each of the mirrors seem to be showing you something entirely different from the reality of the robed person that's sitting at the table. Now, the robed person his or her interest is focused on one of the mirrors nearest to him, which appears not to be reflecting anything, but showing a view of an alley.
Are we in a position where I could lean over and look directly in one of the mirrors?
Sure, you can walk up.
I would like to see what I look like in the mirror, the nearest mirror.
Okay, you step forward, and in all of the mirrors, you see yourself reflected back to you. And as you get close to the mirrors, the figure goes and sort of motions you to not get much closer. Varel, you're back. Welcome to the Hall of Reflections.
So, good name.
Yes, so you have been successful with our little trick, have you not?
I have.
I am glad you came. You are just in time. And he turns around and he pulls back his hat and you see his bird head. And he goes, Come around and see the fruits of your labor. Yes. Come closer. Watch this mirror. And he points to the one that's the view of the alleyway.
I do.
Very good. Nash, Maggot of the Solar Mines,
Yes.
bring your eye here.
All right, I'll float over gangly and look in there.
Okay, so everyone approaches to watch the mirror. So he looks and he says, watch very carefully. And then in this alleyway that you're seeing, you see Kanja run in and sort of look around panicked, looking for a way to exit. And then he tries to exit, a ninja steps forward from the cloud and just punches him in the stomach, and then does a full Nelson onto him. And then 3 other figures appear in the alleyway. 2 of them are dressed in those Order of the Crimson Moon outfits that you saw. And then another figure between them, but slightly behind, comes walking through as well. And you recognize him immediately as a halfling that you faced in the M Sports competition, the Mind Master. And then Kittigrew looks and goes, "Oh, listen. And then you hear the Mind Master speak. Kanja, you have been outed as a cheat in the M Sports competition. Not just this one, but for 10 years. This is unacceptable. As a business leader and an investor in the Marionette Fighting Championship, you have bilked us for tens of thousands of gold pieces. As a representative on the board of directors of the Marionette Fighting Championship, it is my duty to inform you that it all must be paid back." And Kanja's like, "Hey man, I don't have the payment, man. I spent it all, man. You can't do this." And then he looks over to one of the ninjas and he goes, "Show him we are serious." And then one of the larger of the 2 ninjas that are on either side steps up to him and just gives him a punch right in the stomach. And then Kanja falls to the ground, twitching, and then the Mind Master leans down to his face and goes, "We expect our payment in 1 week of 100,000 gold. If it is not paid, my men will come and kill one of your little munchkins 1 week at a time until you are all dead. All the money is paid back." And then you see Kanja, the being that's Kanja, begins crying and goes, and then Kittigrew goes, what? And he takes one of the empty vials from the tables, and then he waves his hand, and what you're seeing in the mirror sort of zooms in on Kanja's face. And then he goes, and he sticks the vial next to the mirror, and he begins capturing tears from Kanja's eyes and putting them in the vial. And the Mind Master and the Crimson Moon ninjas begin leaving him alone in the alleyway to cry. And you just hear, "1 week, Kanja," sort of echo through the alleyway. And Kittigrew begins trying to capture whatever tears he can. And he goes, "These tears have been most ample and generous. So many tears. The tears of a civilization. You have done well, Vorel."
Thank you.
It's a good trick we played.
What of my friends?
Hmm.
The tears, the trick, the payment for my services, the resurrection of my 2 friends.
Ah, yes. How easily you gave them over to me. Trusting you are.
It's a fault of mine.
No, he sort of waves a hand, and as he waves the hand, a seat appears next to him, just from thin air. "Take a seat, young Vorel."
Are you gonna make me cry?
This is not my intent to make you cry. I have something important to say. So important that it must be said, it must be heard while sitting, not standing.
I'll sit.
When Squirts brought you to me, I feel it's important to tell you that I thought, what a sucker she has brought here. I contemplated a long time tricking you out of your friends. There is nothing the Council of Clowns likes more then tricks involving the dead and those who mourn them, they are the best ones. The tears are most flavorful. But I long considered that to fully live and play tricks, one must be inconsistent. So today, Vorel, you will get your friends back. But know this. You were a fool to come here. Too trusting. You are not a trickster. You have a moral heart. And if you do not learn who your friends are in this place, you will soon come to the end of your life. If you value the lives of you and your friends, you will think carefully before entreating with dangerous gods.
Well, lucky me.
He snaps his fingers. He says, Ka, bring in his friends. And then Carr exits the room. And then a few moments goes by, and Kittigree during this time goes back to scooping up tears from Kanja's face as he cries destitute in the alleyway. And then within a few moments, two smaller acolytes dressed in robes come in, pushing two mirrors on slabs. And they pushes them sort of into the room facing where the mirrors are. And then after that, two more acolytes push two slabs into the room. And on the slabs, the bodies of Hope and Stanley are sort of belted onto the slabs standing upright, kind of like in Star Wars they put you in carbon, except just strapped to the carbon instead of in the carbon. But they're like concrete slabs, and they roll them in. It's just the first time you've seen your friends Stanley and Hope since you deposited them here a few days ago. They look like an otherwise pristine, restful sleep. No rotting evident on the bodies. The hooded men move the mirrors so that they face Hope and Stanley on the slabs in the center of the room. And Kittigree gets up from collecting his vials, and he takes two of the vials from the top of the table, and he opens them, and he begins pouring them onto his fingers and then painting tears on Stanley and Hope's corpses. It is time, says Kittigree. Are you ready to see the return of your friends?
I am.
No tricks.
And he stands in the room and he raises his hands and he looks to you, Nash, and he says, life is always a trick. Excuse me, sorry about that. And he raises his hands and he begins chanting, Io tororo pafuto Kindon stutiva. He's sort of chanting in this strange, weird, nonsense language. And can I get everyone except John with their headphones off, please?
Yep.
All right, John. You are Stanley Billings. And from nothingness, and you have no awareness of time or space or anything passing, a light opens before you distantly. You don't feel like you can move, but you feel like you can approach the light.
Okay.
Do you do so?
Approach it, yes.
You approach it, and after what seems like an eternity, but also a second, you get closer and you see a circular hole and light spilling forth, torchlight flickering into your void, and you see yourself tied to a slab. Do you move closer or move away?
I'll approach closer.
All right. You approach close enough that you could reach out and touch the hole. seems to like to take a second, and you feel like you could exit this hole potentially. Do you do that or do you not?
No, I'll reach out towards it.
Okay, so you're going to move closer to it, and you step out into the hole. All right, everyone put their headphones back on. Or it should just be Hope, actually, but I just need Hope now.
Get everybody back so that we can send everyone. away.
Oh,
I just need Kristen. Just Hope.
okay.
Just Kristen.
I'm
All right. You have been. You don't know how long, what time has passed, what has happened, but from the void, you see a light in the distance. Do you approach it?
Yes.
As you get closer to the light, you make out a small circular hole, and it's torchlight spilling into the void. And you see yourself, strapped to a concrete slab. Looks like your corpse. Do you approach closer, or do you move away?
No, I'll walk closer.
Okay. Well, you go to try to walk, and you realize you can't walk, and that you have no form. But you are Hope. You move closer to it, curious. And now that you can see within reaching distance the hole, and you see it's your corpse strapped to the slab inside some sort of room through this hole. Now you can exit and investigate further, or you can reject it and leave.
I'll investigate further.
Okay. You move closer and step out. Without form, you attempt to move out into the room. And now everyone can put their headphones back on. It's the universal symbol for headphones back on.
I don't know why I didn't believe it the first time I saw it, but then I did.
So Squirts, nothing. Varel and Nash, you see in the mirrors that are held up to Stanley and Hope that there was no reflection. But then through some sort of inky, voidy mist, both Stanley and Hope walk towards the mirror, and like in the reflection, seem to walk towards the other side of the mirror in the reflection, and they both step out onto the concrete very slowly, their void nothingness turning into a form. And before you, Varel and Nash, Hope and Stanley stand puzzled and confused.
So there are still bodies on the slabs?
There are still bodies on the slabs.
Are they opaque beings now, or are they translucent? Do we detect any of that, like ghosty type stuff?
They look as they did in life. Your friends returned, Kittigree says. It has been a pleasure. Now take your friends and leave this place. And Varel, my advice to you is to never come back to it. Go.
Are you the god, Kittigree?
Gods are not permitted in Sigil.
I'm sure you'd find a way.
The Lady of Pain is powerful. She would know that a power was here, and it would be forbidden.
Sure it would. Well done. I thank you for your services, for your aid, and your words of wisdom.
I do not need your thanks. I did not do it for you or for your good. Remember that. I did it for Kittigree. Car, show them out.
Wait, should we take these bodies?
Leave them. I will dispose of them.
Stanley, can you hear us? I'll say.
Is Stanley conscious, aware?
Stanley is conscious. You are in this room that is full of mirrors. On the cone side, there is a Birdman standing there. There's Varel, lizard folk whom you recognize immediately. Hope is also standing in front of one of the mirrors. You guys are both just barely clothed, just very lightly clothed. There is a bird, a black sort of looking bird standing upright with a sort of weapons and a fierce disposition. There is a kobold with a child also standing there looking on with a big smile. And there is what looks to be some sort of heart with an arm and a leg dangling out of it and an eye and where the heart is. It's just a mess of organic stuff also standing there.
Yeah, and I guess you would have heard me say your name. You would have heard it come from the floating heart.
Mm-hmm.
With all this weird stuff sticking out of it.
What the hell is this?
It's me. It's Nash.
Yes, we played tricks. We bring you back.
That Squirt's over there. Don't worry, she's a friend, sort of. The bird, I don't know so much. I don't trust it. But in your case, is this? I mean, are you the real Stanley?
This seems like the worst nightmare I have ever seen.
Tell me about
That's
it.
Stanley.
Yeah, it sounds like him. Tell me about it. I have to live in this body now, but don't worry. I'm getting slowly put back together. It's a long story, and we can tell you the whole thing later, but maybe we should go. I'm worried about these bodies here. It feels weird to leave those here. I don't like the idea that maybe there are now two of you. Varel, what do you want to do about that? Because it feels like if they keep a version of these two, I hadn't thought of this. This could be bad.
Kittigree, are these bodies part of your payment?
No, they are worthless now. They will soon become husks. We will put them in the crypt.
How do we have your assurance that that's the fate of these bodies? You're not going to reanimate them or torment
I
their...
assure nothing.
Oh. Well, that's comforting.
Does Hope have an arm and a leg?
She does.
Hope's just staring at the arm and the leg. Now, if she had scars on her body, are those all gone as well?
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Hope's just looking at her hand, moving it, looking at her feet.
So her gun stuff is intact and part of her?
Nope.
No. Okay.
She's full organic.
Oh, wow.
So is the corpse.
Are they wearing clothes?
They have very lightly clothed.
Okay.
In a PG movie way.
So Stanley's got like a loincloth kind of
Unless
deal.
you guys want to R-rate it and we can make you naked. I kind of just didn't want to
Super
assume.
double naked.
Yeah. I didn't want to assume.
13, we can drop an
Guys,
F-bomb.
Yeah.
Stanley and Hope, do you think, do you want to be naked or do you want to have clothes on?
Naked.
I mean, yeah, naked. I don't
Alright,
know
they're
where
actually
it's gonna
naked.
come from.
All right.
And let's fix that up. They're naked.
It's all the same to me. Friends, it is good to see you. I'm afraid I have made some deals of which I am not proud, but I am successful. We should leave.
Where do we go from here?
I mean, sure, but where are we for real? Is this Principal City? Is
Outside, before more tricks are played.
Agreed. Move. We gotta go.
Do you want to solve the clothing problem before leaving or no?
No, and in fact, I'm gonna walk behind Stanley and smack him with the longer arm with right on his ass. Just go. We gotta
just
go.
came back to life and you're already sexually assaulting him?
No.
Jesus.
Just gotta move.
All right. Okay. So everyone's leaving then. For John, nothing would probably follow. Would Squirts follow, or can we say goodbye to Squirts here?
I think we could probably say goodbye to Squirts. She'll chat with Kittigree and talk about more tricks to be done.
She's in her home space. This is good. Okay.
There's gonna be some serious sadness about this, by the way. I just want to throw it out in the universe as table talk. people are going to be very sad to be saying goodbye to Squirts.
She might not be gone forever.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. So the five of you, I guess Varel makes his way to the door and opens it up hurriedly because he's the one pushing the hardest for leave now. So Varel opens the door, begins walking out, and Stanley, Hope, do you follow Varel?
Yeah, is there anything nearby that can be used to cover myself up?
Yeah, there's a lot of mirrors, a lot of vials of some sort of liquid. The walls have dusty tomes on them. Not a clothing place.
All right, we're going then.
You walk out naked and cold, both you and Hope. Hope, I assume you're going as well.
Yeah, she's still fascinated with her arm. being back.
Nash follows behind in order to slap Stanley's bum.
Yeah. By the way, keep in mind, you'll never be as naked as I am right now. Doesn't matter
So,
how
Varel,
naked you are.
unfortunately, you walk out with purpose, but you realize that Carr brought a torch with him, and you're now in complete blackness. So you kind of step out into the darkness, and you're like, I'm not quite sure where I'm going. Now, the dark vision folk, that's Stanley and Hope, see that Varel is slowing down his walk and doesn't know where he's going.
Varel, I'm not entirely sure where we're supposed to be headed at this point.
I see stairs. Maybe we go up.
So for the two dark vision folk, you do see that there's a four-way junction ahead of you that you can move left, straight, or right.
We came down the hall from the right, I believe, but I cannot see in this darkness. And I do not ask for a torch. We don't know what the fee for one will be.
I mean, why can't Nash do his make a light thing? Nash, be useful.
It's a long story, but okay, let me give you the quick of it as we're moving here. You were both killed in a cataclysmic event. I was preserved for some reason, and I came out just a heart and an eyeball. I think that was all I had at first. And that was it. And Varel's the only one that was like fully intact. So I've been slowly growing these things, and I'm wiggling my little bits that are all hanging off now, hoping to get my full stuff back. But every time we've needed magic, I can't do shit. I've got magic impotence at the moment, and it sucks. And it's something about keys and some other things. And so, make your own light, a-hole.
So this is where the DM interjects and will provide a correction to the way Sigil and the other planes of this area work. You say all of this, and then you feel in your anger that you feel sort of this magical rage inside of you, like something's wanting to let off steam. And just for the player's benefit, it's because magic doesn't, this sort of negation field doesn't apply within Sigil. It's something else that I made a mistake as DM. So you're good to go, Scott.
All right, and I'm gonna to have some fun with this retcon. I'm gonna just be filled with like pent up frustration that I normally take out on Stanley because he's always around, and with him out of our lives, I really had nowhere to place this except the bird. Like the bird, but the bird wouldn't reply. The bird wouldn't talk back. It was because of the bird that I bundled all this in. And so now it's just going to come spilling out. And it's going to come spilling out in the form of me throwing my arm up in rage to the ceiling. And out of it will come a cantripped fireball. And it's going to just fly out of nowhere. And it's going to surprise me.
Fireball or firebolt?
Bolt. And it's going to surprise me and everyone around me that it even happened. And
so you fire a raging firebolt up at the ceiling, and then it hits the ceiling and withers out of existence. But for a brief moment, the hallway was illuminated.
Yeah, and I'll kind of look down at my hand and look at them and say, I think it's back.
And while Nash talks, nothing produces a small lantern that she carries and lights it.
Freaking bird!
And hands it to Varel.
So, Varel, you can now see the junction where you can go left, straight, or right.
I'll go past the doors and make my way to the first hallway on the right.
You'll go to the right.
Yes.
Okay, so you move to the right. You move to the right, and you walk down a little piece, and then you see before you that there's an archway, and then the stone walls that you're currently in, sort of a basement of a building. On the other side of this archway, turn to cavernous rock and appear to descend below.
Ah. I'll push my way back past everyone and take the left then.
Okay, so you move towards the left, and as you get to the end of this particular hallway, you see a stairwell in the a literal well of stairs circling on its way up, and a few rats scurry off into the crooks of rock.
Good. I feared this whole place was going to be tricky.
So you make your way up the stairs, the party. You climb about 3 flights and make your way to a hallway, which you recognize at the other end of the hallway would be the doorway to the chapel area, which you move down, move into the chapel area, and you see the entrance back out into the Sigil streets across from the chapel. Do you exit?
I will hand nothing back her lantern, knowing full well it was probably a very expensive gesture, and motion everyone outside.
All right, so everyone hurriedly makes their way down the pews and to the door. Varel, you open up the door, and the daylight of Sigil spills into the entranceway, and the party makes their way out, and you're now in the city streets of Sigil, including Stanley and Hope, who are naked.
Wait, what is this place?
So Stanley and Hope, you see that the city, it's hard to see the cityscape right now because you're in an alley, but when you look up at the ceiling, Inception style, you see that there is no sky. It's city facing down above, and nothing's falling.
Well, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Where are we exactly?
Somewhere called Sigil. You are Burks, and I believe we have to register you.
What about Tiet Kala? When do we go back?
That is for us to figure out. I have been fighting in some sort of puppet show, and I was victorious by shaming a man made of smaller people, thus winning your freedom from mirrors.
Oh, well, that is actually not the weirdest thing that's ever happened to us.
No, and this by far has been the kindest town I've ever been in. Which one of you feels the greatest shame right now? And I will take off my cloak, my cape with the soggy feather cape, and I will offer it forward for one of the humans or humanoids to wear.
Hope will just now realize she's naked.
Hope, did you want the cape?
We could rip it in half, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you see, I've made a deal with an orcish brother to wear that cape in some finery, as it's my favorite shop in the entire city.
Hope starts tearing it.
Are you letting this happen?
It's fine. I'll make a new one, and I'm renaming the inn anyway.
Can you roll a strength check first, please? Hope?
It is going to be a 16.
Okay. It's difficult to tear. It's made of really quality thread, and it's very thick, and it doesn't rip. You get a little rip in it, but it actually doesn't rip. It's resistant to your attempts right now to break it.
It's nothing. Perhaps for a discount, because of our time together, you have spare clothing that you could offer one of my friends.
All right, 1 second. Let me look at this equipment here. Oh, she does. How tall is Hope?
5'6", I want to say. I'd have to search for that, but around
Okay.
there.
Yeah, nothing produces some, basic clothing. Just a basic little tunic and pants. It would be a little small on Hope, but offers them up.
Thank you. And Hope will start putting the clothes on. And hand Stanley the cape.
I suppose that leaves me with this. Stanley, I mean, it's made for Varel, so it's probably pretty big.
You gotta wear it like a Greek. You know, when you go to those Greek parties or whatever.
Yeah,
What do
exactly.
they call them? A sarong,
Toga
maybe?
party.
Toga.
Toga.
That's it.
Toga. Toga.
Stanley will fold it around, wrap it like a toga.
Perfect. Everyone's clothed.
Right. So things move around here a little bit, and we've lost our guide. So we're going to try to make it back to where I am currently housed, get you checked in, and we will decide from there what to do.
Nothing looks at Varel. Soggy feather.
Yes, the soggy feather.
Nothing starts moving.
Okay. And nothing would also know that there are I can't remember what they're called. Shit. But there are sort of taxis available to hire if you guys don't want to walk it, or you want to send them on their way.
Nothing will
Just
escort
some
them.
information.
That's
Yeah.
how she's gotten them around so far, so she'll keep doing it.
Perfect. So you make your way back to the Soggy Feather, and for Stanley and Hope, it's a strange place. There appears to be people everywhere. This place is filled. Every time you think you're going to be alone, more people walk around a corner, or you see somebody throwing poo out of their window, like the bucket. They're emptying it out, or they're just doing laundry, maybe. And there's just people everywhere. There's a bustle. There's a din that's not quiet like the wastes, and the wastes at night, it can be very quiet. There's always noise. There's just noise filling your ear constantly. And people look at you strangely, like you're just the biggest hillbillies ever walking into town. Everyone's kind of looking at you like you're all naked and stuff. And they're just like, huh? Well, you're not naked, but Stanley mostly is getting those looks. And you make your way back to the Soggy Feather. Who goes in first?
Nothing would probably be in the lead. She'll just open the door, hold it for
Alright.
everybody.
You open the door, and it's a busy afternoon. Well, because you woke up late, and you didn't actually have supper, and so it's getting to evening now by the time you get back, and it's busy in there. And people turn around, look at you, and don't acknowledge you. Then as Varel comes in, the whole establishment goes, "Varel!" And a whole bunch of people immediately swarm Varel.
Wow, Varel, I have to ask, you seem to have made quite a name for yourself. How long exactly have you been here?
3 days, 4 days, maybe. Upstairs, presidential suite. Executive. It's quite nice. I will be here for a while.
4 days, and you've already gotten together an entourage and have a place to stay.
I've been lonely.
Well, thank you. I think I'll... Honestly, I'm hungry. Do you think we'd be able to get something to eat?
Bob, get Bob. Bob will know. I'll yell it. Bob!
No response.
Nothing goes, Bill!
Oh, Bill, shit!
You hear a voice go, "Someone call my name." What?
We're
Who's
starving.
saying my name?
We have friends. We're hungry. I know it's busy, but we're your close friends. So
Oh, it's that. Okay, I'm on my way. And he wakes his way through the crowd. You're talking to him as if he was nearby, but he's on the other side of the bar. He goes, we have a dress code here, Mr. Elf, sir. Also, why are you
apologize.
wearing Forel's cape?
Well, because it was favorable over nothing, which was the other option.
Oh, I see. Varel, does your friend have any clothes here?
He's new. He's a Burke. I'll call from the other side of the room.
But Varel's not wearing any clothes.
Well, he's a lizard folk. His clothes are his scales. That's how lizard folk work, right? Okay, well, he taps his fingers on a table and he's like, I guess I could give you some of my clothes.
Anything you can do to help would be greatly appreciated. Bill, was
Varel, it's going on your tab.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right, Pam, can you get my bowling gear? Lawn bowling. Pam disappears into the back. Just be a second, Mr. Elf. Nash, you wanted some supper too?
no, I'm good. I'm fine.
Oh.
But they're hungry. They've been. I don't know where they've been. But they haven't
Oh,
been
so you
here.
do want supper for these two?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, if you,
so-
it just looks busy. I'm fine. If you have a little time, then maybe. But I think
All
it's
right, we'll make some place for them at the bar. Here, make room. And he sort of clears off 2 seats, pushes people, and he says, "You two sit there." And then Pam comes back with a clothes. It's sort of like this creamy white pants, and then sort of this red and bright pink, like fuchsia-looking jerkin. And there's some very shined-up shoes, and they get handed to you.
Thank you. Is there any place I can change into this?
Maybe in the latrine,
Which is
or
where
I don't know. Do you want to rent a room?
I have nothing to rent a room with.
I'll go to the latrine.
And where is that exactly?
He points to the end of the bar, and you see that there's sort of it's not really a doorway, but it's one of those you walk left and walk right, so you can't see as much sort of deals.
Thank you. Stanley will get up and go get changed.
Yeah, and thankfully there's nobody in there to fight with in terms of privacy. There's no like closed spaces. There's just a bunch of holes on the seats, you know. But there's some privacy there. You're able to change quickly into bowling clothes.
All right. I'll return Varel his cloak.
All right. The one thing about these clothes is they do smell a little bit like body sweat.
Ew.
Let's try and prestidigitate. If not to make it cleaner, but to at least make it smell more pleasant.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to eliminate the odor through prestidigitation.
Stanley's still clearly not happy with the clothing, but it's good enough.
And on your way back, you and Hope are both greeted with a bowl of some sort of stew. There are familiar-looking vegetables in there, like carrots and broccoli we've seen before, and what you can only assume are, you know, brown chunks of meat of some kind. It looks edible, smells good, spicy.
Stanley just starts tearing into it. Doesn't really care.
Okay.
Hope will too.
Then Bill comes by and puts the mead, each glass of mead next to where you're eating.
Hope's
So
gonna
I-
down that real fast.
So you two were the two that Varela had in here when he first arrived on the floating beds.
Apparently,
Well, it looks like he was able to successfully bring you back from the dead.
I suppose, though, I am curious why it was only the two of us. Is Nash around?
Yeah, I'm right there.
Nash, were you also gone? Was Varel?
Most of me. Like I said, all that remained was this floating heart. And then, since I've been here, it's been slowly, things have been growing back overnight, over a few nights. But if you'd have seen me the first day, I didn't even have a voice. It was just the heart. But Varel was, naked and stripped of his gear, but otherwise unscathed. He was fine.
I notice he doesn't have the eye in his chest anymore.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we've not seen. I lost all my shit too.
Yes, seems to be the case for all of us, but I wonder why it is that Hope and I didn't make it and the others did.
Well,
How did I get my limbs back?
there's some talk that the nature of this heart is why I survived, and that's still a little bit of a mystery as to why it made it through. But in Varel's case, I have no idea.
And what were those bodies down there that looked like us?
They were you. We had to bring you here. That's what was left of you after the cataclysmic event I mentioned.
So you woke up and there were just two bodies of us laying there?
Yeah. Or the remains of you. You're not in great shape down there. Those versions of you are pretty banged up.
Well, it's a strange thing. It's not like just suddenly I woke up here. It's more like if you knew you had a restless night, but you can't remember anything that happened. I can tell that time has passed, but it just was nothing.
Oh, by the way, that's the name of that bird. Is nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the bird helped you
Well,
get us back.
sort of, yeah. Any minute now, I expect it to put its stupid hand out and ask for a lot of gold for something he did, but yeah, he helped.
Stanley will turn to nothing. Well, thank you for your assistance. I apologize for my companion. Nothing, just nods. And Stanley will go back to eating.
All right. So, with Hope and Stanley still alive, or now returned to life, there's a few choices to be made here. In terms of where you want nothing to be, because an option we can do is we can make this sort of a home base for Squirts and for nothing, and potentially, have them be here as part of the party overall, even though you're not playing as them. Kind of like how when you play like a Mass Effect game, you can only take 3 characters out on an adventure. You kind of have a stable sort of growing in this place. Or you can just have them move on forever. That's sort of one choice, something to think about. The other thing to think about as players is that, we've wrapped up this kind of little leg of the adventure, so to speak. You have a bunch of gold, but you have no items. It might be a good time to consider some shopping, potentially, and what you're going to spend your time doing if we were to have a longer rest, like of several weeks versus that amount of time. So we don't have to make all the decisions right now, but it's worth chatting about.
Well, I think as far as nothing goes, she has that job that she only had 7 days to get done. So I imagine she is going to, having helped and assisted, she'll probably stick around tonight and probably in the morning announce that she has another job and go out to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she might return to the Soggy Feather, and that might be a base of operations for her, but she's definitely going to go out and attempt that.
Okay. And what does everyone else think?
I mean, one of my chief goals is I I need rest and time to get back to who I am. So I would be inclined to sort of hang around and, you know, sleep off more restructuring points and things like that to gnash myself together.
Okay, then Vorel, I hope you have anything to add.
Squirts will be there to always trick things when they need tricking. So
I had
find
no
that
doubt.
church, you find Squirts, or you know, she might be tying shoelaces together. And then Hope will definitely want to restock with ammunition and guns and find out how to get back.
Okay.
Yeah, Stanley's gonna try and reset, get some decent clothes and items back.
So this was all contingent on the Master of Coin, Vorel, and so as part of this sort of reuniting of people is finding out that I think he gave you, Nash, like 500 gold.
Yeah.
So you have a gold, and then Vorel, you have some amount of gold left, right? You've written down the exact amount last week, I'm hoping.
Yep.
Okay, so that's something for you to think about. What I propose we do is that we're going to go to the break.
Okay.
And then once we come back, I think that we'll say that some time has passed and we'll sort of get into what our activities were, and that we'll pick back up as sort of a family meeting that you guys have where you're discussing the future next steps, what you all want to do together as a party. Okay, so if that makes sense, let's take our break. And when we come back, shopping.
Sweet.
All right, that sounds good to me. Thanks, everybody. Hang in there. Don't go anywhere too far. We're all going to go pee or whatever, and we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.